Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Russ Riesinger.
And I'm Jeanelle Slade. February spending most of its time below zero here in our region.
With wind chills down to double-digit negatives and the risk of frostbite increasing with every minute outside. Not only is the cold unpleasant, it can be dangerous.
And that's where we begin tonight, Bob. We saw 130-degree difference between the hottest and coldest places in the lower 48 states. McAllen, Texas, the hottest. Havre, Montana
was the lowest.
Wow. The winner.
Oh, was it cold. Let me show you how cold it was in Havre this morning. This is not the wind chill. That's the actual temperature, 41 below zero. It was so cold it set a new record. Now here in Billings, we were at 14 below zero, and it's hard to believe it was just last Saturday we were at 52 degrees above zero. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Elsewhere, you got a lot of 20s and 30s below zero, but let me show you what the records are. How close were we to getting to a record? Well, in Billings, the record was 25 below, so that was still pretty far away, but up across places like Glasgow, they were 40 below, 31 below over Miles City. Very, very chilly. Now, what about tonight? Tonight, it's not going to be quite as cold, but it's still going to be pretty chilly up along the high line at the northeast corner. Teens and 20s below zero. Here in Billings, we're expected to go to zero for the overnight low. Out west, probably more like 11 degrees over at Kalispell and Missoula. We'll have more in the rest of your warm up, kind of warm up, in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Bob.
Well, the cold is not stopping criminals. 2 armed robberies within 6 hours of each other are now under investigation by the Billings Police Department.
And the latest happened shortly after 8 o'clock this morning at Lucky's Grand Casino. A man armed with a knife entered the casino at 13th Street West and Grand Avenue and demanded money. After taking an unknown amount of cash, the robber ran out of the business.
Now, he's described as a white male in his 20s wearing all black clothing with a bandana covering his face and a beanie. Lieutenant Mark Cady tells Q2 the suspect left on foot but was seen getting into a white Ford pickup truck. Cady says the suspect description is similar to a man who robbed a convenience store earlier in the day.
Now, that happened just before 2:30 at the Cenex Zip Trip on Broadwater Avenue. Police say a white male who had his face covered with a white hood and black mask threatened the store clerk with a knife. Now, the suspect fled with a small amount of cash. No injuries were reported.
Memorial services will be held Friday for the Fort Smith woman who died in a crash in Bighorn County Sunday. That woman has been identified as 41-year-old Michelle Walking Bear. Known for accomplishments with the Indian National Finals Rodeo, the association issued a statement earlier this week recognizing Walking Bear as a tour champion, many-time INFR qualifier, and Horse Owner of the Year. Walking Bear died Sunday when her vehicle went off Highway 313, rolled. She was ejected and pronounced dead at the scene.
State lawmakers got their first look at a bill to continue Medicaid expansion in Montana today. Democratic State Representative Mary Cafaro of Helena is sponsoring House Bill 425. It would extend Medicaid expansion in its current form. The program provides government-funded health coverage to about 95,000 low-income adults in Montana, but it's set to expire in June. She says her bill's only significant changes to the program are more money for its workforce training program and obligating hospitals to pay about $15 million to help finance it. Republican State Representative Ed Buttrey of Great Falls is working on an alternative Medicaid bill that would likely include some restrictions on eligibility. When asked why majority Republicans at the legislature would accept her bill instead of Buttrey's, she said the success of the program speaks for itself.
When I get elected, I don't get elected to do this, put my finger in the air and see what is politically and acceptable in the legislature. What I get elected to do is represent people. That's what we need to do, is talk about the wildly successful program, the status quo that we have today, and really the question becomes, why wouldn't Republicans support what we have?
Now, the federal government covers 90% of the program's cost, but the state must pick up the remainder.
Governor Bullock's $160 million infrastructure bonding package cleared its first hurdle Thursday, but Republican members of the committee that endorsed the plan said it's just a first step and indicated that bill will face changes as it moves through the legislature. The budget panel voted 4-1 to advance House Bill 14, which would authorize the state to borrow $160 million to pay for various projects. Those include a $32 million remodel of Romney Hall on the MSU campus in Bozeman, another $32 million for a new State Historical Society building in Helena, and about $85 million for local water, wastewater, and other projects all across the state. Committee Chairman Mike Hopkins of Missoula said the legislature will ultimately decide what level of bonding or borrowing the state can afford for building projects. The only no vote came from Republican Senator Kerry Smith of Billings. He said it's a mistake to place all of the local projects in the bill along with the larger projects which often face opposition.
We've lumped a lot of different types of projects in here that have sailed through in past sessions with no problem at all with certain types of projects, and lumped them with projects that we just don't seem to be able to get past, which puts a lot of good stuff at jeopardy.
At some point it becomes a discussion about what is the proper role of bonding in state government. And then the secondary question has to be, well, what is the proper level of bonding for state government? And it's a discussion that we have every session. I don't think it's a discussion that's going to end here today in this subcommittee.
Majority Republicans have indicated they may vote later to scale back the governor's proposal.
A longtime downtown staple in the restaurant scene will open its doors later this year. However, a massive remodel is underway to completely change what you know about the Rex. Crews are hard at work right now on the Buffalo Block Steakhouse. Tonight, Q2's Andrea Lutz brings us a first look inside.
It's an iconic image in Billings, but it's not as if the Rex Hotel hasn't seen changes. However, this time,
it'll be top of the line.
Little will stay the same.
We'll have windows that open over here, keeping the trees. We'll have some green area down here and green area here.
Take a look at the inside now, a blank slate with an extraordinary vision. Rick Larson never really intended on buying the restaurant. He just appreciates a good steak.
It was always my go-to place for steaks. So when they closed down, it was kind of sad.
But he's an entrepreneur at heart, starting a Billings-based insurance company in 1980.
I waited and I waited, and I've been retired for a little bit.
When the Rex closed in February of 2017, something sparked inside of him.
When I told my wife I bought the Rex, she wasn't really happy with me. So she says, we're retired. I says, honey, don't worry, we can go travel, whatever you want to do, we'll do.
Now, months into a full renovation, he's already visualizing the space.
This is a fine dining area. We'll have some booths over there, tables out here.
Planning the menu.
But we're going to do an open wood burning cooking area, so it'll be different than anything else.
Making his mark on Billings again.
Well, there's a sense of satisfaction when you can do something different and build on something that's already great.
While keeping the historic Rex alive.
The new bar will be here, and it'll be a walnut bar built in the old style. So it'll look really nice. This will be the center of the bar. Gene and his partners did a wonderful job here, and they brought something unique to Billings. And we hope to build on that. We hope it'll be something that's accepted and people will appreciate.
As for the name, that's historic too. Buffalo Block Street pavers were used back in the day to line Montana Avenue. It's a past-time treasure that Larson wants to carry through to the future.
When Larson envisions the opening of the Buffalo Block next fall, he sees an enticing patio, white tablecloths, and great service. But for now, that steak will just have to wait.
I'll always have a table here. I won't have to worry about that. But it's fun. It's a fun project. So, and my wife is talking to me now, so it's worked out well.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
And Andrea tells us the Buffalo Block Steakhouse at the Rex will likely open in early August, and Larson says he plans to hire a staff of roughly 50.
Well, Skyview High School is incorporating a new program to encourage workforce development.
Q2's Jenny Fix shows us how the community is partnering with the school to build students' confidence and skills.
The Yellowstone Strengths Academy is a new program being brought to Skyview High School.
Some jobs experience that you can put on your resume, on applications that you might have for school.
It's been a really neat opportunity just because it's the community and the school, and we're meshing together to do the partnerships. And I know the school district is really pushing forward towards more work-based learning.
The goal of the program is to help students prepare to enter the job market.
We have communications classes, financial literacy, customer service classes, basically anything that kids would need to be employed right after high school.
The academy aims to foster networking relationships.
The community is really screaming for, we need employers, we need to have people who have skills to do well at the job, so it's a great opportunity to mesh together.
Courses will be held at Skyview, are free, and last about an hour.
There are 9 classes, and that also includes job shadowing and mentorship, and then there's a graduation at the end. So it's a continual interactive experience between the students and the companies that are supporting us, and hopefully we get the students interested in some of the businesses we have in Billings. So
the program's intention is to help students find better jobs, determine their strengths, and empower them as they enter the workforce.
It's very scary, and we know that statistically that most of our students kind of have a plan after high school, and then plans change, quite a few of them, the majority. So the more we can get them experiences and experiencing jobs on site and having those experiences of having conversations with real people.
The instructors will be local industry partners, ranging anywhere from customer service positions to realty.
You know, stackable degrees, certificates. We don't always think about those. We always think you got to go to 4-year college, which is awesome. But there's so many opportunities to even get there that this is a great way just to give them more information.
In Billings, Jenny Fick, MTN News.
And those courses kick off on February 13th. For more information, you can head to ktvq.com.
Coming up on tonight's 5:30 News, this chef is taking his heart to help because it could just save his life. We'll show you how he's plating up a success story.
And later in sports, wrestlers from across the state are in Billings. Scott is going to take us to the mats.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.